One.
Welcome to Conservative Roundtable. My name is John Estrada, and here I am with Chris Garcia, with Mail by Renee. And Chris, welcome to
Thank you, John. Thank you.
We have a lot to talk about today. One of the big issues of the day is a cyber attack and safety for Americans, safety at home, safety abroad, to protect ourselves against domestic and foreign enemies. We'll just start out basically with that new attack. Chris, what do you think about cyber attacks on America?
I think that unbelievably, even though we were creators of the Internet in the United States, I think we've horribly fell behind technology-wise, period, to the Chinese, to the Russians, the Koreans, to a lot of other countries. And you know, there's no reason in having all of your important secrets and information in technology, and you don't know how to secure it. I mean, and you know, those are the things that make the big news, but just people, I mean, even as far as getting their credit information stolen, you know, millions of Americans' credit cards from Target to other countries are being stolen by the hackers in China and in Russia. And, you know, who knows what they're going to do with that information. We don't know if terrorist organizations are involved, what they're going to do with that information, with those IDs, with those bank accounts. So they can do so much with that. And I think we've fallen so far behind. We are underfunded in that part of the CIA. And, you know, it's scary to know what they can actually do with some of that information.
Yeah, you know, Chris, I know a little bit about cyber attacks. You know, I was working for the Department of Veterans Affairs as a VA employee, and during that time, OPM, which is the personnel government agency for the VA, basically foreign governments hacked into their systems and got every federal employee's very economic, financial data, all kinds of stuff. And so after that took place, they sent us a letter or an email, and said that they were going to go ahead and have all our credit stuff monitored for years and years and years. So I did subscribe to that service, and so my credit information is being monitored by the federal government now because of this attack. It totally got into everything, and we don't know which government agency or what the foreign agency got into our stuff, but we know it happened.
Yes.
And so it's a disaster. But, you know, going back to the other idea that with our greatness of creating the Internet, you would have imagined that they would have the vision to safeguard all this valuable data, information, because it could put us in a very, very dangerous situation. It's just like a nuclear waste. You know, they build all these nuclear plants all over the United States, but they forgot one very important thing. Nobody figured out how to get rid of nuclear waste. You know, it's
they figured it out. It was just a bad.
But no, they still don't have a good solution for it.
Right.
They think they can bury it over here in Yucca Mountain, but I mean, it's just amazing how, you know, it's with our great minds in the world. They develop these products like the Internet or nuclear stuff, and not really get to the end game. You know, I'm a chess player.
That's right.
I've been playing chess for years, and you really want to know what your plan is going to be, including your end stage. You know,
right.
You have to have an end stage there.
You have to see it through mentally.
And so I'm sure we have great minds.
Yeah.
What happened? Why did they drop the ball on this one?
Well, for
now they're sending the Internet out of our country.
Well, first of all, we have a Secretary of State that even if we were to secure our secrets, she would just give them away.
Yeah.
So
it doesn't matter.
And then I remember.
Oh yeah, it's like her statement. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah, so but you're absolutely right, John, and you know, it's just amazing, and you know, so many of our secrets and so many of our companies and the private sector is doing a better job as far as securing, people's financial files and protecting people. I know Rudy Giuliani, I think, is part of a large security company right now that works on securing files on the internet and stuff like that. So, I think in most cases, anytime you look to the federal government to solve any problems, they're not going to do it. I think we ought to look to, and again, this goes back to Donald Trump, I think the private business sector will do a much better job of securing our industry and our internet than the federal government can.
Let me just make an exception to the rule here. Mm-hmm. One exception to the rule is sometimes cyber attacks are a good thing, like WikiLeaks. What do you think about WikiLeaks?
Right, absolutely. Well, hopefully WikiLeaks will have a large part to do with Hillary Clinton not becoming president of the United States. Thank God for that, at least. I mean, that was one hack that we all will applaud. And her lies are coming out, and her two-face is coming out, and her presenting the American people with one side and then having a private side. And I mean, she's got so many different sides, and they're all lies. And, I hope that in the days to come that more and more of her emails continue to come out so that the American people can see exactly who she is and can put her record and what she says, and people can see who they're really voting for in the end, because I think that the Democratic Party and I think parts of our government and the liberals are doing a wonderful job at covering up exactly who she is and exactly what she stands for. And I think WikiLeaks hopefully will leak more and more of her private conversations so that the American people can see who she really is.
You're right on target, Chris. If you're listening on this broadcast right now, you can call in 702-983-0711. Call in with your questions, statements, ideas on how to solve the cyber security situation or cyber attacks, or we'd like to hear from you. 702-983-0711. This is Conservative Roundtable, and the next topic of the day is I understand that there's threats by federal employees. 25% of them said that if Donald Trump got elected, they were going to quit.
Oh, wow.
So that's a good thing, folks, because it looks like we'll start reducing our federal workforce, employee workforce that is costing taxpayers a lot of money.
Absolutely.
And so those people are probably not the ones that do the good job in America anyway.
Absolutely.
So we really don't need them. It's sort of like back during Ronald Reagan's day, the big controversy of the day was him firing federal employees in the air traffic controllers.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember
that. I remember that.
And so I was just thinking how important it is today that you have the potential of having a great president being able to have the experience to fire federal employees. There's no doubt in my mind that Donald Trump has the ability and the wisdom and the knowledge to fire people. He's done it for many years. He's got the experience. So if a federal employee doesn't do their job, like in the VA, we've had a disaster with Obama. With the VA, and nobody gets fired.
Absolutely.
They get promoted.
Yeah.
They get, it's just the status quo just keeps building, and guess who pays the price? The veteran pays the price. What do you think, Chris?
That's absolutely right. And I think the biggest fear by these lifelong politicians, by their donors, is that Donald Trump is going to come in and he's going to shake things up. I think that's their fear. I think that he will fire people. He will replace people. He's going to bring his own people on if people don't do their job. Hello?
Yes, and that's absolutely correct. I think that what we could do here is get a president that can fire those bad apples, those bad hombres that don't get the job done for you, the American citizen, because that's really what it's all about. You know, we have to support our people. You know, we have to put America first, because America matters to all of us. You know, America matters to all of us, and if we don't put ourselves first, then we're going to have problems for tomorrow, the next generation. What happens, what we do today, will have a big impact for future generations. It's the money spent today that's going to have to be paid by somebody tomorrow. And most likely it's going to be your children or your grandchildren tomorrow that's going to have to pay that bill. So, you know, if you're listening to this broadcast, my name is John Estrada, Conservative Roundtable. We're on the Conservative America Broadcast Network. Call in now with your questions, statements, thoughts. That number is 702-983-0711. That number again is 702-983-0711. This is John Estrada. You know, it's really, really amazing that we have cyber attacks, you know, in America. Our America is not safe like it used to be. We have terrorists come in here and kill Americans. That's not a good thing. You know, we want to make sure that we have a president that makes things safe for us again. The past 8 years has been a total shortchange on what the promises that were made in those days. You know, Obama promised us that there would be change, and the only change we got was shortchanged. Chris, what do you think about the next president?
I hope that it's Donald Trump. I really do. It's been 8 years. It's been a disaster. We are looked down, laughed about by other countries. They used to look up to us for leadership. And Barack Obama has been a weak president, and Hillary Clinton, I believe, would be a worse president. I think she would be a even less respected president by Russia and by China, if that's possible. We need a strong president. We need to send a message. I think the American people would send a message around the world if they elected Donald Trump president. That's what we need. We need a strong leader who's not afraid to fire people, who's not afraid to shake things up. And this man is taking a humongous pay cut to be a patriot because he so loves America and he's so scared. He's been around the world. He has businesses all over the world. He has built a business from the ground up, and he has fallen like we all have, and he's gotten back up and put it, and he has one of the most respected names and businesses all over the world, and that's what we need. We need a fighter. We need somebody who can come back because this country's down, and he understands that. It's nothing wrong with being down, but we don't want to be out.
Yes.
So, hopefully Donald Trump will be elected.
Well, one of those leaks that just came out was dealing with Obama. If Obama, in fact, based on these new leaked information, that he actually conspired with Hillary Clinton to keep America in the dark, private conversations that he not going through government channels on a side deal through her personal email and personal server. What do you think about that?
I think it's just more corruption. I think it just shows that the two of them are in this together. Their necks up and deep in what's going on. I think that whether she wins this election or not, I believe that there are people who will eventually, I think they're trying to hold some of these emails back, hoping that she gets elected. But I think can you imagine if she wins this election? And I don't think God is going to allow that to happen, John. But if she does in some sort of miraculous way, if it is stolen from Donald Trump, which I think it would be stolen, can you imagine if there are some more, if possible, damaging emails showing her and Barack Obama in some sort of way conspiring against the United States of America, or allowing top secrets to be talked about and shown that she took them out of her emails. Could you imagine if some of this begins to come out? And we could have a person that basically could just have been elected president and could be looking at impeachment immediately.
Oh yeah, I think
that's possible.
Oh, I think it's very probable too. Very, very probable. You know, even though this information can connect the dots between Obama, Hillary, the FBI, and the Justice Department. This,
Absolutely.
keeping this little tight community, these conspirators to keep this vital information. That's why she didn't get indicted, because they had this private information they didn't want to get out to the American public.
Absolutely.
They were in cahoots to try to deceive America.
Yes.
That's shameful behavior.
Yes.
That's criminal behavior.
It's business as usual for them.
And yes, it is. And so, to me, I don't just believe they should be out of office. I truly believe that justice should be for all. They belong in jail.
Absolutely.
Obama, too.
Absolutely.
Obama belongs in jail.
Absolutely.
Hillary belongs in jail. The FBI director belongs in jail. And Loretta Lynch, the head of the Justice Department, belongs in jail.
Absolutely.
That's a criminal act, folks. And until we start realizing that everybody cannot be above the law, they have to be responsible in that kind of authority. They should be at a higher standard than the typical person. They are betraying the U.S. Constitution. They are betraying America.
Absolutely.
And they are criminals.
There are 20 other charges she could be charged with. I mean, just something as simple as a federal charge, and you go to prison for this, is inciting a mob. It has been proven now that the Democratic Party paid people to go to Donald Trump's rallies and start fights. And weren't they talking about Donald Trump and how he incites violence? They were the ones actually inciting violence. Yeah. And that is a federal offense, inciting a mob. How far up now? They showed in the videotape how some of the Democratic strategists and some of the Democratic workers in some of these campaign events said that they knew how to pay these people and bust these people into these rallies without it being connected to the campaign. I think something's going to come out about that as well.
That's a huge, I mean, it's just their process of criminal activities. It's just like a pattern of criminal activities.
Absolutely, John.
Their goal, I learned a long time ago that anybody that tries to hold on to power, they end up being corrupt.
Absolutely corrupt.
And so they forgot that very important principle.
Yes.
They're trying to hold on to this power, and this power is slipping away from their grasp. And the more they're trying to slip out, the more they're trying to break the law to get that power and keep that power.
Absolutely.
So, you know what? I think impeachment is going to be a very small process in this thing. Impeachment is the soft part of it. The hard part is when they spend time in federal prison for their crimes against America.
Yes.
Folks, this is crimes against America.
That's what it is.
And if we don't get this together, and if we don't go out on election day, and if we don't support America by going out and voting, you know what? We're gonna deserve what we get, folks. I hate to say it. It's like, this is our moment in time.
You're spot on, John. There's no other way to say it. The other saying is you get what you pay for. Well, I mean, if we don't go out and vote for Donald Trump and they're busting in dead people to vote for Hillary Clinton, then, there are more of us than it is of them.
Yeah.
And we need to understand that and not be fooled by the liberal media. They are not in the majority, but they control the media right now. And so they don't allow them to control and brainwash you and make you stay home or feel like Hillary. Look at their actions, not their words. They're sending everybody and their grandmother out to campaign for Hillary. I've been in positions where I know I'm going to win some situation, and I'm telling you, I'm not nervous. I'm very confident and comfortable in the fact that I'm going to win. When I'm nervous, I have as many people supporting me and out saying good things about me as I possibly can because I'm nervous. I know I'm in a dogfight. So don't listen to their words. Look at their actions. They know they're in a dogfight.
Well, that's the old saying. You really got to look at actions more than what people say.
Absolutely, John.
Actions what matters, folks.
Absolutely.
I just, I put this out a couple of days ago, and it's sort of like passed around through my social media account, and that's regarding the debate. I put out there my analysis on that debate, and I said Donald Trump won the debate last night because he was honest. He looked presidential, and he a commander-in-chief. His experience in the business sector will help our economy and put Americans back to work.
Wow.
Absolutely. And to me, forget all the distractions. Let's look at business. Do you want to have a career politician, somebody that's never owned their own business unless it was connected to their political process? Or you want to have a diversified experienced person that has a resume and a biography that shows that he could work with people all over the world.
Absolutely.
In private industry. To me, and being able to understand economics.
Absolutely, Jim.
Let's face it. That's the name of the game, folks. Forget racism. That's a small part of anything. It's about economics. We need to help people get jobs. We need to be able to get them jobs that are a living wage, a full-time wage.
Absolutely, John.
That's the name of the game.
Absolutely.
This minimum wage, it's all diversion, sidetracks. Who wants a minimum wage or a part-time job? Folks, this is nonsense. Let's face it. We need full-time jobs. We need people that are making living wages, and that's the name of the game.
Well, when you have these liberal left-wing members in the White House and in our Senate and our Congress and our governors and our mayors, they're the ones that want the part-time jobs. They don't. Because you can control people when people depend on you. When people are self-sufficient and America was going well like it was under Ronald Reagan, who wanted to vote for a Democrat? Nobody. Because people had jobs.
Well, in fact, they had the Reagan Democrats. You had even Democrats voting for Ronald Reagan.
Absolutely. So that shows you how people, when they have the opportunity to work, people want to work. We had the highest labor participation under Ronald Reagan that we've had in, I think it was over 60 years since the Great Depression.
Sure.
So since the Great Deal, after the Great Depression. So, people want to work, people want to go back to work, and he lowered taxes, and, he enhanced the private sector, and he motivated people to start their own businesses, John. Like you said, I own a little small business myself, and that's what mom and pop stores is what makes the backbone of America. Walmarts are great and the big businesses, but if you go to most towns and you go up and down the street driving, 90% of businesses are small businesses.
Well, let me just say this. You have a great knowledge in economics, finance. You're a small business owner. To me, I would be casting my vote for president for you more than I would for Hillary Clinton, if you were the nominee, because you have that business experience. You know what it takes to sacrifice to pay a light bill. Or,
absolutely.
It's tough business.
Absolutely.
And being in business, it makes you a smarter person because you look at all the different potential obstacles or diversions or things that can happen or they don't happen.
Absolutely.
So you've written a lot of great things in your past. Would you like to talk a little bit about some of the things that you've written about?
Yes, I mean, when I was in school, I wrote a few theses and I wrote a few papers just on what I believe was the beginning of the destruction of America and the Great Liberal Plan. And I think they basically saw themselves. I think we were in a fight. People always, when they talk about the 60s, they talk about, long hair or marijuana or free sex or the women's movement or the civil rights movement. But I think behind closed doors, there was the larger fight was the fight of idealism. That was the bigger fight of which direction that this country was going in. And I think it came to a head. And I really don't believe that fight has ever ended. I think this country has been 50-50 divided ever since the 60s. I mean, if you look at most elections, it's gone back and forth. It's been 50-50. George Bush beat Al Gore by 200 votes in Florida. So that shows you this country is evenly divided. And I think it's just been a war of idealism, which direction that this country is going in. Both parties have forms of dominance. I think when you go more into the inner cities, you have the greater populations and you have more minorities in the inner cities. They tend to lean more liberal, more democratic. But when you go out rurally through the states and through the country, they tend to be more conservative and more Republican. But I actually believe that even, like you said, Reagan Democrats and independents, even in these larger metropolitan cities like New York, Chicago, Baltimore, and LA, you have a lot of independents and a lot of conservatives, suburbanites, who are mostly Reagan Democrats, even in the inner cities. And I think that liberals began to lose a grip on the popular vote, whether it been Ronald Reagan, and then we had George H.W. Bush, and then we had his son. 3 of the 4 presidential elections, and 5 of the 6 had turned Republican. We won House, we won Congress, contract with America under Newt Gingrich in 1994, and I think that the liberals began to see themselves losing the electoral vote. And I think from that point on, when I was in college, I saw them with the open border policy. I saw them beginning to make more minorities dependent upon welfare and dependent upon the federal government to take care of them. Now, once it's like a child, if you don't make that child leave your house and start paying their own bills, they will always depend on you. And while you should always be there for your children and support them, at some point in time, they have to learn how to pay their own bills. And you have so many people sitting at home today in America that are capable of working and used to hold jobs, and actually the welfare system punishes them for finding jobs and for working full-time jobs. They get their benefits cut. So if you had a chance to sit home and make more money than going out and working 40 hours a week and making less money, which would you choose? And I think that that's part of the liberal idealism. They want open borders so they can have more illegal aliens working cheaper jobs, lesser wages, lowering wages for the companies that hire, which hurts American citizens. All you got to do is look at the minimum wage. Hasn't been raised in 20 years, I believe. So that's what they're doing, and they saw themselves losing to the conservative Reagan-Bush movement, who's about self-sufficiency, small business, lower taxes, more incentives for businesses to move to the United States of America. Look what's happened ever since Bill Clinton signed NAFTA, 8 years of Obama and Obamacare. Big businesses and small businesses can't even afford to have their employees work 40 hours a week, because then they have to pay them full-time insurance, and they can't afford it. And they can't afford it under Obamacare because they're not allowed to go and get a competing offer with another insurance agency. They're forced to, deal with Obamacare. So, the liberals have, I think, they've taxed private small businesses and bigger businesses to leave the country and go where there's cheaper tax rates. I think it's 35% now these businesses are paying the tax rates. Trump wants to lower it to 15%. Well, that's going to give businesses here the incentive to stay, and businesses across the globe to come back to the United States of America, and to waive the punishment that you have to pay to bring your business back to the United States of America. Because if I have to pay to come back, you're not going to punish me for leaving. When you punished me, you made me leave in the first place because I couldn't afford to pay the taxes here. And then you want to punish me to bring my business back if I want to do business in America. So that's what Trump's going to eliminate that right there.
Yes.
And he's just going to bring incentives for you to stay in America, make things in America, and that will make America stronger again. That's what he's talking about. And so it really is a fight over ideas and the direction that you want the country to go in. And there's no way that I can side with Hillary Clinton. She wants more of the same, and that's crazy. There's no way.
The status quo. Yeah, one statistic that I've heard about was that if you've been unemployed for 5 years or more, you have a 90% chance of never, ever going back to work.
Absolutely.
That's a
crazy.
disastrous figure. And they're cheating those numbers with employment.
Absolutely.
There's a lot more people not working because they fall off this the tracking. And so it's really shameful and hard that so many people will never be working
Absolutely.
again. You know, and you're right. Learning how to work early in your life is the best process. And if you can work, keep working, because you never want to get into that statistic.
Absolutely.
Never having to work again, because I tell you what, it's a lot better to get a paycheck on your own than having to wait for somebody to send you a check in the mail or waiting for some money to be delivered on your doorstep. Folks, it's a hard way to go.
That's right, John. They're artificially controlling the unemployment rate. The unemployment rate is probably, the true unemployment rate is probably over 20%. And after you've been unemployed for 8 months, they don't even count you as part of the workforce anymore. Well, how many Americans in 8 months? A lot of Americans can't find a job, so they don't count you anymore as part of the unemployment rate after 8 months. Exactly. So it's actually, some people say it's even up to 25%. In the minority communities, it's closer to 35-40%.
And you look at blacks and Latinos, that statistics are probably much higher. You know, one thing, I don't know if you know this, but back before Obama was president, I took out papers to start running for president of the United States myself. Mm-hmm. And I didn't last very long in the race, only because I realized that the election was not about a true election. It was about selection. Mm. In other words, the powers to be, the political parties, truly selected our candidates for us. And I knew darn well I was not going to get selected. Right. Because my ideas weren't their ideas. Mm-hmm. And so there was no way the powers to be, the leadership of the political parties would ever appoint a John Estrada as their candidate or one of their nominees.
They made a mistake. They should.
So I learned a long time ago that when you're running for president, and in fact, many of these places for Congress, Assembly, Senate, if you're not selected by the political parties, you're never going any place.
Yes, I think a lot of our best and brightest are sitting at home instead of serving, John.
I truly think that. So anyway, the reason I brought that up was very, very simply that WikiLeaks just came out with a statement that our system, our election system is rigged. And they said that the president is selected by hook or crook and that she will be elected. Yes. So there you go, that word selection. I learned that many years ago, and now it is fact. Wow. I knew it, but now it's public knowledge. Folks, we have an election process that's really not an election. It's a selection process. Wow. And the powers to be in the major parties, they select the candidates to be your representative. And what does that tell you? If they're selecting, that means that you're not going to be represented properly.
Absolutely, John. That's such a powerful word, selected.
So this is a tragic day. Forget about democracy. Forget about justice for all. We're living in a system that doesn't work for America, for Americans. Because you know what? When they say that you vote on an election, yeah, you're voting, but unfortunately your vote is not with potentially the candidates that would be able to make the change for you. Absolutely. To represent your interest.
Wow. Wow, that's powerful. Selected. That's powerful, John, and that's Donald Trump's fear. And no wonder they cut him off when he says that. When he says that he's not sure if he will support the election results. He wants to wait and see. He wants to see how it plays out.
Now looking back, I am so glad he said that. Because that, you know what, and now everything is perfectly clear. Absolutely. Why is the media going after him so much? Why is the establishment of both political parties going after him so much? Why is all these former candidates going after him so much? Because they're all one little clique They want to select. They want to keep the status quo, the current system working, because guess what? It works for them. That's what, folks, that's why we're $20 trillion in debt, because everybody pays to keep these people in power.
You know what my fear is, John? I was watching the other night. If he doesn't win, I don't even think that the powers that be on the Republican and Democratic side, especially the Republican side, will ever even allow another person like Donald Trump to run again for office, at least more be nominated. I don't ever think they will let an individual like him,
well, I think as
a truth teller, I don't ever think they'll let somebody like that run.
You know, Chris, I think that the good thing is it's out in public now.
Yeah.
It's public knowledge. See, information is power.
Yes, it is.
Very powerful information. And so we've got the spotlight now on the corruption and the process. Maybe now we can make a difference and we can make changes. Because for so many years we've been in the dark.
Absolutely.
Nobody told us that there was a selection process. The only reason I found out about it because I actually did it. I went through it. I saw it. It was very crystal clear to me that this was not a fair process. It was rigged. Folks, let me say this. This is not the only election that's been rigged. It's been going on for generations. So here you go. Donald Trump, yes, it's rigged. But guess what? It's been rigged for many, many candidates over many, many generations. And that's where we need to stop. That's why we need to elect a Donald Trump for office, because now we need to get this system the right way, where the people have the power.
I'm a South Side of Chicago resident for many, many, many years before I moved to Las Vegas. And the Dailies were world famous. That was the most powerful, corrupt Democratic machine. Obama came out of a lot of the same corrupt machine. He's also from the South Side, where he was an activist and his wife was a lawyer. It's a very powerful machine. It's a very powerful machine, and I saw some of the things that he did to get his competitors thrown off the ballot.
Oh, heck yeah.
I mean, he was a dirty politician from way back, and that's why he rose so fast.
I always remember that famous line in that movie, The Untouchables. Remember, we're going to do it the Chicagoan way?
Oh, yeah. Isn't that amazing? We might go from a South Side resident in the White House to a North Side. She's from the North Side, Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
So that goes to show you Chicago roots in politics are very, very powerful. And
they're violent.
Yes.
And so by these WikiLeaks letting the public know that they're actually doing violence to to hold on to this power. They want this power so they can create more corruption. Yes. They want this power so they can pay off their friends. They want this vicious circle so they can get more money, more wealth in their pockets. This is what it's all about. It's about power, it's about money, and it's about greed.
Yes. And they use money and they use intimidation to stay in office.
And it's violence. They're using violence that goes against American principles, folks.
Absolutely.
This is evil. There's nothing more evil than violence. Genocide is evil. All of this stuff is evil. When she can basically have a philosophy of genocide on babies, that is evil.
That's exactly what it is. Call it what it is. That's what it is, John. And
so let's go another thing. It's amazing how this WikiLeaks. I'm just amazed at what has happened. But in a way, maybe this is the way it should have happened. We should have been able to find out about all this information. One of those other things is Podesta. Podesta is still in control of Hillary Rodham's campaign.
Absolutely.
Now, folks, if this guy isn't so corrupt also, in the old days, when politicians were found out, immediately they would fire and get rid of the bad apples, right? No. Hillary gets them and promotes them to a higher level. She's done it like this lady that was, what's her name? The person that was in charge of the Democratic National Committee.
What was her name? Wasserman?
Yeah, Wasserman. Yeah. Whatever. She was in the lead. Well, she got fired from that position of the DNC, and then they promoted her to her campaign.
Right.
Now, is that amazing? Podesta gets caught, and guess what? He's still there in the picture with her, helping her, and Hillary's just allowing this corruption and this evil ways to continue.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, they don't ever fire anybody. They just promote them or put them in the background, but they're still paid. They're still on the payroll, and because they need them. They need their corrupt minds to continue to run the corrupt elections. So, Wasserman and the rest of their people, they're not going to fire them. They're just going to take them off the stage, but they're still going to be part of the campaign, definitely. It's amazing, John.
Well, you've been listening to Conservative Roundtable. I'm here with Chris Garcia, mailed by Renee. If you want to get a good mailbox in Las Vegas with a great address, that number is 702-626-0716. That's 702-626-0716. Chris, why don't you tell me a little bit about your mail process and what is that all about? It's safe, right? It's safe,
absolutely,
right?
It's safe. It's secure. The building is always locked up. There's always somebody up front to receive and give you your mail. We have outgoing services. We offer many of the same services the post office does at a competitive price. We have $10, $20, and $30 mailboxes, but you can get started at $10 a month. And you also can get your identification cards. We sign for any outgoing or incoming mail, FedEx, UPS. So we offer some of the services that the post office doesn't offer. So for $10 a month, you can call Mail by Renee, 702-626-0716, and talk to Cian. She is the office supervisor, and she will get you started. You will have a fabulous Las Vegas address, safe and secure. You will always receive your mail. Thank you, John.
You're welcome. So if you want to talk to Chris or myself, call in. We're here Monday through Friday. Conservative Roundtable is here Monday through Friday from 1 to 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. To call in, that number is 702-983-0711. 702-983-0711. We'd like to hear from you with your questions or statements, or if you're a candidate running for office and you're not corrupt, come on. You're more than welcome to be on this show. I'd like to talk with you and find out how you're going to make America great again. As you know, I am 100% behind Donald Trump for president, and I sure would like to see him be our next commander-in-chief also. Donald Trump has the business experience to help make America great again. The other person that I'm supporting 100% is Dr. Joe Heck, because it's time to put Harry Reid's politics yesterday. We no longer need him to be a factor in Nevada politics because we need to end that career political machine that he's built over the years. And the candidate that he is supporting would just be a puppet to that overall machine.
Absolutely.
So remember, on Election Day, vote for Donald Trump for president and Dr. Joe Heck for U.S. Senate, because they will make America great again. And Chris, we've had some really good conversations here about making America great. Because if you're really talking about vital information that Americans need to know, I think we've covered some very, very good information here. What else do you think we've left out today that should be talked about right now?
Well, make no mistake, this is the greatest country on earth. My mom came here from Santiago, Cuba. She was an immigrant. She worked very hard. She put herself through school. She raised us too. I mean, I'm sure, John, you experienced the same thing. My family stressed English, although I'm bilingual. I'm trilingual, actually, but my family stressed to learn the English language and to adapt and put education first. Education was very important, and love for your country. This is your country now, and they're giving you the opportunity and take advantage of it, and I love this country for it. It's the greatest country on earth. So that's why we are so spirited in our conversation about what's wrong, because we all remember how we feel about this country, and we are very passionate about the direction this country is going in, and that's all Donald Trump is talking about. Donald Trump knows this is a great country. He started with $1 million loan from his father, and has made his company a multi-billion-dollar company, so he knows the things that America has to offer. He started off, like you said the other night, I was a carpenter for my dad. That's how I started. His dad was smart enough. You just don't give your kids stuff. You make them work for it. And that's why he's such a fighter to this day, because his dad made him fight to become part of that company, and he learned from the ground up what it takes to be in the real estate business. And so I just feel like he has more of a hands-on experience, John, like you said earlier, on how to build something. Mm-hmm. And I think he knows how to bring business back and build this country back.
Yeah, I never took it when he made that statement, "Let's make America great again," to mean all of America.
Right.
I took it that what he's talking about for those Americans that don't have a great America.
That's right. Yeah.
I think he's talking to those that have been left out of the American dream. So he wants to, because let's face it, his America is great.
Right.
Because he's got money,
That's
power,
right, John.
he's got everything he does.
That's right.
What he's really talking to is, and he's motivating the segment of the voting population that does not have a great America.
That's right, John.
So what we need to all understand is we need to all focus on, let's give justice for all. Let's make all Americans have the opportunity to have their America great
That's
again.
Right.
And so until we get to that in our world, and to this election, and win this election, and not have further corruption and destruction of our U.S. Constitution, because to me, that's why I joined the U.S. military, because my job, and I took that oath of office, to defend America from domestic and foreign enemies. I take that stuff very seriously, and I never quit doing that my whole entire life. I've always been there for the benefit of America, because I believe in it. I'm thankful for what I have. I'm blessed. I've been blessed from day one. I've had a great life, and every day I have from here on, I truly am grateful to the good Lord that I'm still here, able to do what I enjoy to do.
Oh, wow.
My journey of being happy is I'm achieving that happiness.
Wow. And
so I do, this has been an awesome journey, and what we're trying to do now is talk and trying to put that information on the table for Americans to understand, because let's face it, most people don't know about politics. Most people are told the great lies. There's two great lies every American is like put into their brain, and those great lies are two things. One, you're not supposed to talk about politics, and you're not supposed to talk about religion in your conversation.
That's all I talk about, John.
Yeah, and folks, that is a great lie. Right. Don't let anybody ever tell you you're not supposed to talk about that, because if you're not talking about it, somebody else is talking about it, and they're making plans behind your back.
That's right, John.
So
Absolutely.
Folks, don't listen to that. That's a bunch of hogwash.
I would ask every American, John, as we wrapping the show up, is, I know these speechwriters all trying to be different. And, Donald Trump has his own speechwriters, but one of the lines that I was looking for in the 3 debates I wish he would have used is taking a page out of Ronald Reagan and said, "Are you better off than you were 4 years ago? Are you better off than you were 8 years ago?" If you ask yourself that honestly, even the people like me and John who are not doing bad, but are you better off? Do you feel better about the direction of the country? Are you better off than you were 8 years ago? And my answer is a resounding no. I don't feel better about that. I'm not worried about me. Me and John will be okay. Rolando will be okay. I'm worried about the other American citizens out there struggling. That's why, because we're only strongest together as a nation. We're only as strong as you know, every citizen. And there's so many people left behind, John, and that's my fear, and that's Donald Trump's fear.
You know, that's a very, very important guideline to decide whether or not you're going to vote for somebody. Is how you're doing today. Are you better off today than you were many years ago? But I'm not really looking, like you say, I'm not really looking at myself for today. What I really care about the most is my children and my grandchildren. Right. Once you have children and grandchildren, guess what? The stakes become greater. It's not no longer about you.
That's right, John.
You're there for your family. And is my family going to be better off tomorrow? Right, that's what I care about. Are they going to be better off tomorrow? And based on what I see today, it's going to be far worse for them. It's going to be harder for them to get a job. It's going to be harder for them to believe in God. It's going to be harder for them to take care of their family, because the government's going to be so big, so complex, that we're going to have to go and kiss their rings and ask for permission to get anything and everything from them.
Absolutely. I have 7 children, God bless me, and 5 of them graduated from college so far, and it's a struggle. They're struggling. They're struggling to find work. They're struggling to pay their mortgage. It is a struggle out there. So that's who I fear for. I mean, you know, I'm not going to say we made it over the hill, John, but we're older, and you know, we can see the end coming more than the beginning. They have their whole lives ahead of them, and I don't want them to have to continue to live under this kind of an administration. I want them to have hope, like we had hope, John, when we were coming up.
Oh yeah. I look at it this way. My father just passed away last month in September 14th, and he lived a blessed and amazing life too. You know, he was a veteran, and he worked for the Postal Service for 25 years. He was very stable, loyal father. To me, he was my hero. But he lived to be 85. So if I have any chance at all, I'm hopeful that I get to have a chance to have 25 more years of life. Because I tell you what, I will not deny my family my full effort to try to make their lives better in their life. And the best way for me to make their life better is for me to put our government on the spotlight to ensure that they do what they're supposed to do. Do America's job. Do America's job by doing their job for Americans.
Absolutely.
And they're doing it. They're doing it because we want them to do it because it is the right thing. It's a right thing. They're there to help Americans, not to hurt us. And too many times we're into a place where our politics hurts Americans.
Absolutely, John. Absolutely. I've had a wonderful, blessed life. I've been blessed, like I said, with 7 beautiful kids, and I couldn't think about not being, when I heard Hillary Clinton talking, and some of the childbirths were difficult, you know, they were scary, but, you know, I couldn't imagine not having one of my kids. You know, children are difficult, but I couldn't imagine not having one of them. And, you know, I was blessed too. I had a wonderful parents, both of them. My dad is my hero. My dad is somebody I look up to.
We're common ground on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. My dad was tough on me, and you know, I think that's another thing about Donald Trump is that you can tell he's a man of his word, and people are afraid of that. He's a man that if he tells you he's going to do something, that's the way it's going to go. But just God bless America, and just take this weekend and keep your minds open and vote for Donald Trump. And John, just thank you for having me on the show today.
Yeah, Chris, thank you so much again for your great insight. So here we are. Thank you. This has been Conservative Roundtable. I thank you for you listening, And we will be back again Monday at 1 o'clock. Callie Ward will be on. She was a candidate for the United States Senate, so stay tuned on Monday. God bless you. God bless your family. This nation needs you. America needs you. And you have one great opportunity to make a difference and make America great again, and that's to elect Donald Trump on November 8th. Go out and vote. Thank you. God bless.